Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm so glad to be here once again. I feel it's most important to speak the origin of man, since there are various views spreading about it in the world. In 18th century, Darwin introduced the world a theory about it. Today we are going to discuss the theory. But before we get into that, I would like to say a few things about Darwin. His full name was Charles Robert Darwin. He was born in a doctor's family in 1809 at Shrewsbury in England. He began his study at Christ College at Cambridge and received his BA degree in 1831. His father hoped that he would become a medical doctor like him, but he fascinated in studying natural history. So he took a 5-year survey trip around the world through voyage. And that trip gave him a monumental effect on natural history. In between these, he studied theology at Edinburgh University in 1825 and was helping the local church. But his faith began to waver after the trip around the world and following the death of his 3 young children due to illness in the trip. Darwin never proved himself as an atheist but claimed himself as agnostic. By the same time, he never gave up his fascination in studying natural history. Natural history, he means all species changed over time from common ancestors. He began to develop this idea with a variety of natural specimens that he collected in the trip. But he took 20 years to present this as theory on the book The Origin of Species. He presented it by means of 3 terms. Let's come to the first term, evolution. Evolution was there, but it came to a well-development after Darwin was born. Now the question is, what is evolution? When the nature selects species from genetic diversity to survive and to reproduce in a continuously changing environment is called evolution. According to this theory, Darwin said that man is not a creation but an evolutional change over time from common ancestors apes like chimpanzee and gorilla. If it's true, then my question is here, why hasn't man been taken into another stage of evolutional change? Or is man the final stage of evolutional change from common ancestors apes? No, definitely not, because it tells clearly man is a creation. Moreover, man has 5 sensational parts: hand to touch, mouth to taste, nose to smell, eye to see, and ear to listen. But only he has mouth for speaking too. Therefore, I strongly say man is not an evolutional change from common ancestors apes, but a creation of God. Let's come to the second term. The second term Darwin used to strengthen his argument is natural selection. Before we discuss this, we should know there are 2 types in this. One is artificial selection. It's by human and plants, animals and other organisms. And another, natural selection. It's the process through which populations of living organisms adopt and change. So, what Darwin said, natural selection can turn any living organism totally into different organisms. For example, dinosaurs into bird, sea mammal into whale, and ancestors of apes into human. If it's true, then my question is here: why didn't this natural selection turn man into another living organism again? So, natural selection is only possible within the same race of organisms. For example, man can reproduce man, apes can reproduce apes, man from man, apes from apes. But as Darwin said, if it totally change into a different organisms, that's only possible by a creation, not by natural selection. Therefore, I strongly say man is not an evolutional change by natural selection, but a creation of God. Let's come to the final term. The third and final term Darwin used again to strengthen his argument is survival of the fittest. The English philosopher Herbert Spencer coined this phrase on his book Principles of Biology in 1864. He coined it to explain the economic and social issues in his days. But Darwin adopted it first in 5th edition of his book The Origin of Species. He said the phrase survival of the fittest is the organisms that are best adjusted to their environment are the most successful in surviving and in reproducing. Of course, species are adaptable to their environment, but it can't be applicable in certain stage for certain species. For example, a fish that survives in the water can't survive in the land even today. A lion is a carnivore and survives in the forest. A cow is herbivore and survives in inland. Likewise, the Eskimos, people who survive in extremely cold and snow places, can't survive in warm places. Or a man who survives in the society with people can't survive in the forest with apes or any other animals. So it shows that these are different species are created on earth to survive in different environment and to reproduce according to their own kind. Therefore, I strongly say man is not an evolutional change by survival of the fittest, but a creation of God. Dear friends, yes, man is not an evolutional change from common ancestors, apes, but absolutely is a creation of God. We can't deny this truth. I hope you are blessed by this teaching. God bless you all. Amen.